Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you something a little bit different. I guess this is kind of a hybrid convert this. But what I'm doing actually now is I've joined up with an effort, an initiative by the Warhammer YouTubers community, which is open to everybody, by the way. So if you're not a member there, I certainly encourage you to join, as well as the PMP, which is painters motivating painters. It's just everybody kind of showing off and giving critiques and help and assistance and just guidance, maybe some ideas on how to better paint your miniatures. But there was an idea in one of the shows, Vince Ventrello and a bunch of the guys on Warhammer Weekly, which by the way is on Wednesday nights typically, but I think it's on Thursday night tonight. Which is a great thing because we don't want to miss it. We want to make sure that it is weekly. But they had created an initiative reaching out to anybody who wanted to participate that to try and create armies on a budget. We all know that these models are pretty expensive and it can be not a cheap hobby. And even with Age of Sigmar, where you don't have quite as much of a need to build these massive armies in order to play the game, these things are still not cheap. So one of the rules is that you can't spend more than $50 a month, and I think it goes on for 6 months, and we're looking to try and get say 100 wounds of an army, which is a pretty sizable army. I think you can get a pretty decent sized army. It's a good small to medium sized game of Age of Sigmar, and I think it's right around roughly in the wheelhouse of what really is a good just the best average size to play. I like playing anywhere from 100 to 150 wounds, and I don't want to get into the whole comp thing, but I don't really put those kinds of limits on, but it just seems like it fits really well within that arena. Anything bigger than that is, that would be equivalent to like 3,000 or 4,000 points in, let's say maybe more like closer to 4,000 points in the previous edition. In any case, so the idea is that you need to, if you had stuff in a box that you haven't built or bunches of bits and you wanted to build something up, you can. And if you have things that, again, that haven't been assembled, you can contribute those to your existing months. And I have a bunch of stuff from a Sylvaneth army, basically, tree men, tree lords, dryads, and and the like, that I really haven't been putting enough effort into building, and so a lot of this stuff has been sitting around. Now I built a couple of the tree lords and Durthu, and I don't think I can really put that stuff necessarily towards the each of the months. I'd like to, but the rationale is that I think that on average the average cost of one of these tree lords is over $50. I think that even though you typically can get them for under retail 20-25%, sometimes 30%. I think it's still it's still kind of pushing it, and I built a couple of them already. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to contribute them to any of the individual months. If I am, I'll because I did get them for under $50. I'll see if Vince approves that, since I think he's one of the final arbiters on these types of things. But I did mention him. I have some bits that I recently have been saving from the Tree Lord boxes to make a fourth one of these treemen, and I needed extra bits. So if you've ever built one of these guys, you'll know that this is the regular Tree Lord. I'm gonna put this is the one that I made, so I'll get to him. But this is the regular Tree Lord, and you typically have options to make any war. This is actually the Tree Lord Ancient, so this is the caster version, and you could typically make any of 3 versions of this. So I have for this particular guy, the standard design that they had recommended in the build. But you can make Durthu, you can make a standard Tree Lord, which is the non-caster, more of the combative with a little bit of range attack. And this guy, just been assembled, just a little bit of stuff on the base in terms of dirt and just base, just primed, ready to, go to the next stage. But I wanted to make another one of these because I was able to acquire 3 of them in a box set for a really good price, by the way. But there's lots of bits left over to make, extras of these in each of the kits. But there's things that are missing. So some of the things that are missing are like the torso pieces, really important. Some of the arm pieces. You can make, I think you can make a couple of the leg variations. There's options in terms of the back. Arm pieces are pretty standard. Although I think maybe there's only one set of the claws, the hands. But there's a set of bits. The hardest ones to get are the torso. So I recently found a place that had them, and I had them for a good price. So sometimes these extra bits that are missing, you have options to make in multi-kits, make 3 or 4 different types of, or 2 or 3 different types of options. The excess ones, the ones that are universal to all those kits, those are the things that are really desirable and that people will pay a little extra for. So I actually found a place that was pretty cheap, a bits place that had them, and they had a lot of the extra pieces that I needed as well. Not all of them, but I had a lot of excess from these kits. So I wanted to make another one of these, but I didn't want him to be the same exact standard, look. I wanted to kind of change him up. So I just finished making this guy last night. I've been planning on putting him together, but after I heard the story about the Age of Sigmar, build an army on a budget, I figured, well, this is a good time to put this stuff together. So I got this for, a good deal under $50. I figure the excess will probably be the cost of whatever these washers are, which are, like pennies or $1 at most. And I had to go get the extra base, which is not hard to get at all. And that would put me right at about $50 because I really got, these extra pieces for this model were just extras that I had laying around in boxes that I'd already bought for other models. So they were kind of freebie, but all told, if I equated the value, this is definitely under the $50 mark. And the extra pieces, you can see that it's not quite, matching up like a lot of the antler type pieces at the top. Normally in the regular model would match some of the back pieces, and I only had, some excess to make these. There's a couple of these things that I had to make some concessions for, but I wanted to make them different, and I certainly wanted to change up his pose. And as you can see, his pose is considerably different than the other Tree Lord Ancient. I wanted to look like he was actually casting something from his staff, and I wanted him to have a different pose than you see in the standard build. So with that in mind, this guy is going to be my project to paint. I'm going to put some basing on him, and I'm going to prime him, and then I'm going to start with the color scheme I have planned, and we'll see how he turns out. And I don't know, again, I don't know if I'm allowed to use these guys for any of the successive months, but I've got a whole bunch of dryads and branch wraiths and a unit of treekin that I'm sure I can put towards this because they haven't even been built. They're still sitting in the box, and that was the stipulation. So what I'll do is aside from this specific one, which is my month 1 contribution, I will see what I can, what the budget of these would be, because I definitely got them on a good deal, but I didn't get them on such a great deal that it would be obscene. But I got them on a really good deal, and I'll put a bunch of dryads or a branch wraith or some treekin. I'll put a bunch of those in for each month going forward, and I'll start assembling them. And I'll start painting them, and hopefully I'll have a nice sized army to go along with the existing tree lords that I currently have, as well as Durthu. And I'll have a nice Guardian of the Deep Woods army. I have some other ideas, so if I run low in terms of wounds, and if I start running out of options, I still have some things I'm looking to expand with this army that I haven't incorporated yet, and I'll start looking and digging right now. But, I hope you enjoyed this. I will be away for roughly about a week as of this weekend, so I'm hoping to have 1 or 2 items of content out so that if you're looking for battle reports and whatnot, that you'll still be able to come back to my channel. But just know if you don't see a lot of as much volume as there has been in months past, this past week or 2 has been a little bit slow. I have a bunch of content that I haven't been able to cut. So expect that there's going to be more stuff, and certainly a string of stuff when I get back. But I'm going away with the family to Universal. So, expect that there's going to be some progress with this guy coming, within the next couple of weeks. And I'll certainly show some details on that. As well as, beyond just Age of Sigmar, there's a bunch of bolt action stuff that's going on. And I try to push forward with some of the painting of my U.S. Army and Paras Rangers and regular infantry, as well as some Germans that I'm looking to get for future months. So be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, this guy right here is going to be my primary focus. He is going to be the one that's going to be on my painting table, and I'll start showing some progress once I actually start making some. Thanks again for tuning in, and have a great day, everybody.